Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. And today I'm going to be showcasing you guys my take on Salamangreats. I'm not an avid player of Salamangreats in the sense that when I had the choice, I chose Orchis. And to this day, I will always choose Orchis over Salads because I just always liked Orchis more. It was more fun to me, more enjoyable. And I felt like between the two, because they were kind of like neck and neck, and a time frame where they both got the new support, I felt Orchis was better. You know, I made my choice. I picked Orchis, but nonetheless, I still want to showcase you guys my list for Salads, and also at the same time talk about the deck. And for anybody that is a Salamangreat player, you'll be able to reason with me and things of that nature, and you know, you'll be able to learn from me, or I'll be able to learn from you. No matter what, it's always nice to share information. So let's go ahead and start my list. Before I start my list, I do want to say, if you are interested in playing Salamangreats, a piece of advice that I could give you is, like, this deck is a little bit more complicated than some people think it is. Salamangreats, I feel like some people probably just pick it up and think it's easy, but Salamangreats is one of those decks that, like, when you autopilot it, it's good, but when you actually know what you're doing and you have proper sequencing, it's way better. So what I mean is, like, with this deck, it's those little foxes. It's like that one little mistake that, like, can cost you the game. It's that one, dang, that should have been chain link 2, but it was chain link 1. It's that one improper search. It's you trying to, like, you're trying a bit too hard, like you're overthinking it. Sometimes with this deck, you'll overthink it, like thinking that you have game when, you know, your opponent still has cards face down. And with this deck, because it's so easy to make access code talker, I feel like it's a mistake to make this card unless the field is clear. Absolutely clear. And something else that you can really do to make sure when you're setting it up is set up your roar. So what you want to do, like when you're pushing for access code, is try to use transcode to get out one of your, like your Sunlight Wolf, and then you can jump zones and make your access code, leaving him there with your counter trap. So if they have the Nibiru, you can flip the roar for the Nibiru because you will have Sunlight Wolf. Just little things like that that make a difference. Like when you go for your access code, just try, you know, to at least, if you feel like you have game next turn, at least set yourself up on your first turn for your second turn OTK, if that makes sense. Like other things like that, you know, just banishing your spinny when you didn't have to, you know, especially when just being able to just keep reusing spinny is always going to be nice, you know, like rather bringing him off of a wheel, you know, just things like that that really do make a difference. You know, it really does matter. And like playing around Nibiru, you know, not relinking your Sunlight Wolf immediately. If you're trying to play around Nibiru, you want to wait. They Nibiru you, alright, then you just use Will, bring back your Sunlight Wolf, then you reincarnation link him, so that way your Rage is live, that way you can recur, you know, just little things like that. It's not a big deal, but it does make a big deal when it does come up, if that makes sense. So just little advice, you know, if you do want to play Salad, just keep in mind, it's going to be those little mistakes. It's going to be those little choices that you make or do not make that can kind of cost you the game, you know. It's kind of like just throwing, but I'll get into the list. So we have, for hand traps, 3 Gammas, 3 Infinite Impermanents, 3 Ash Blossom. Best hand trap to play in this deck because it is recurable, and it's a combo piece, because don't forget that he actually only requires fire monsters to make. So it's a hand trap that's recurable and a combo piece. And then 3 Nibiru. The hand traps that I feel are the most high yield and high impact in the format right now. Obviously, backing Nibiru up with Gamma or Imperm is amazing. And the fact that you have a 1-card OTK to follow up with that is also amazing too. I do play triple Exceed. I was on the fence on and off about playing this. I took it out and put it back in. But honestly, every hand that this card's dead, you just got to realize that that hand was dead in the first place. And Parallel Exceed being out of your deck, what are you going to really replace it with? You know what I mean? Because you got to really think. You can only play so many normal summons, and your normal summon is what makes Parallel Exceed live in the first place. So by me not playing Parallel Exceed and putting in what more normal summons, you know what I mean? So that way I draw a hand of too many. It just didn't make sense. And what this card offers is just amazing. Just the protection from hand traps. As you guys see, I'm playing Gravedigger's Trap Hole. I know that this has kind of fallen out, you know, not everybody's playing it, but honestly, Rafflesia with Gravediggers is amazing because this deck does have a weakness to Nibiru. This deck does have a weakness to hand traps with some of its more fragile hands. Ghost Ogre can cause you to end your turn, you know what I mean? So just be mindful of that. 2 Jaguars is correct. You need multiples. 3 is like, I don't know, bro, but you definitely want multiples, you know what I mean? You do want multiples. This card, just getting your proper setup with Salamangreats, one of the beauties of this deck is that you will not have to worry about your top deck, if that makes sense. With some decks, their board can get like tampered with, and you're like, dang, you know, I need to like top deck into like a Heritage of the Chalice or something like that. But with this deck, you play out of your grave, so everything that you need is already there, and you're just adding it to your hand and summoning it every turn, you know. So it's really nice, and this deck can get really aggressive really fast, which is also amazing. 3 debugs. Debug's the best normal summon of the deck. We are playing 1 Falco. Something with Falco that you know you want to be doing sometime when you're doing your reincarnate link plays and you're adding Gazelle back to hand off of Sunlight Wolf. You want to actually sometimes send a Salamangreat monster on your opponent's turn to trigger Gazelle, so that you can use Gazelle to dump Falco and use Falco to set your trap again, especially your Roar. That's what I was talking about. If you guys paid attention in the beginning of the duel, where I was talking about when you go for access code, try and use transcode first to basically, because like you can literally, if you really wanted to, you could like just go for game without access code, but obviously access code just help. Try and get transcode to bring back Sunlight Wolf first, and then go into your access code. That way you have a Salamangreat for the counter trap, and you also can do that on your opponent's turn, getting your setup for Roar by using Gazelle, actually triggering it on your opponent's turn instead of just holding it in your hand, triggering it on your opponent's turn, sending Falco to set your Roar, so that way now when you go for your access code OTK, you have a counter trap that ends chain link. So even if they did have the Imperm and the Nibiru, you know, you will be able to stop the chain link from happening, from resolving any further, and you will be able to just punish your opponent, which is amazing. So, you know, just really want to talk about that with Falco. And obviously, you do want to use Falco to loop your Gazelle as well. Return Gazelle to hand as many times as possible. That's the name of the game, is at 1. I do play double Buffalo. So my theory with this is the same theory with Exceed. This is bad when your hand's bad. So if you build your deck correctly, the good cards are always going to be good. In fact, they'll be great, because with Buffalo, with playing 12 hand traps, you know, you do have a high chance of drawing into one of those 12, sometimes multiples. And the other beauty is just the chain blocking ability that it provides, and the fact that it's whenever it leaves the field, and the fact that the discard is not, you know, a cost. Flame Buffalo is amazing, and it's a recurable draw too, which is a really strong feat. The fact that it is a fire and it's recurable, it's amazing. You know, this card is honestly not as good as Debug, but I feel I'd rather normal summon Debug and Buffalo than Foxy. But I do play 7 normal summons, being the 2 Buffaloes, the 3 Debugs, and the 2 Foxies. Theoretically speaking, you know, mining does accrue to 3 extra to search any one of these that I need, but you get what I'm saying. 3 Spinnies. Spinny is really good. So what I like about Spinny and Jack Jaguar is in simplified game states, wherein you're just like, dang, I need like 4,000 damage, right? Like, this is all I need. I've cleared my opponent's board, but I'm kind of low resources. All I have is a Spinny to work with. You can literally just normal Spinny, make Bell Links, use Spinny to reborn itself, link in a Splash Mage, basically use Splash Mage to bring back like anything from your graveyard in defense. You have to literally have just any other random Cybers, and then you just go, you know, from Splash Mage and that into Transcode, and Transcode into Access Code. So just by having any Cybers that you can summon in defense, because that's how Splash Mage works, from your grave, Spinny's a 1-card access code talker, which is incredible. The same with Jack Jaguar. It's a 1-card access code, because you can do the same thing. Normal him, go into Bay Links, relink the Bay Links, bounce it back, summon Jack, bounce back, summon Jack, go into Splash Mage, bring back Jack. And with Jack, you can do it by himself. You don't need something to summon in defense, because Spinny banishes itself, whereas Jack Jaguar is a 1-card access code talker. I'm just talking about in simplified game states where you're just like, oh, he hit me with Solemn Judgment. All I need to do is just end the game right now. Well, one Jack Jaguar does that for you. Just Bay Links, Jack in the splash for Jack again in the transcode. You know, transcode literally just, you know, summon any link 3 or lower, which could be just the Bay Links, and then just go straight into access code, and you get at least 2 pops off that as well. Well, I'm sorry, actually you'll get 3, because you'll have Earth, Water, and Fire. So Jack Jaguar by itself is a 1-card, 3 pops, and also 4,300 damage, which is amazing. Jack Jaguar plus an extender is just like, it should be game. But the 2 Foxies, I do like this deck, that this card like is an out to Floodgates. This deck is really flexible in the terms of what it has access to, and it's just its arsenal and repertoire just kind of being that it's not necessarily a master of all trades, but that it is a jack of all trades, that you do have so much utility with your cards is amazing. And Foxy is one of these utility cards that really helps you out a lot, and it's all one effect, which is amazing. I already talked about hand traps. 3 minings. Mining's amazing in this deck, and the 1 circle is better than mining because it's recurable off Sunlight Wolf. And also keep in mind that the targeting the link to make it like unaffected by monster effects is really busted, because that also can help you to play around Nibiru, which is really cool. This card does play around Nibiru, just having access to it. So you do have multiple ways to play around and through Nibiru, which is really cool. Playing through Nibiru is just by not relinking your Sunlight Wolf yet. Just trying to, like, you basically have to bait your opponent, attempt to end main phase, and see if they Nibiru you or not. If they don't, you know, then it's fine. You know, you just kind of took that neg, but at least this way you can bait the Nibiru. They flip the Nibiru. Alright, that's a bet. Activate Will, bring him back, and then relink him, and then use his effect to add a trap from grave to hand, which is always really, really nice. You know, because honestly, they're probably going to Nibiru you before you get a chance to, like, add from grave to hand. Just at the offset chance that you could put another link up. Double Will. This card is really, really broken. After turn 1, it gets better and better. I wouldn't recommend sending it from the field to grave on your first turn, unless you're just planning on adding it back with Sunlight Wolf. You know, then that's okay. Then you're like, I relink Sunlight Wolf, I send this off, and then I summon a Falco and a Jaguar, and you know what I mean? You could go into Ring 4 off of that. This card, though, it's really, really busted. It is a soul charge. Essentially, it's a soul charge with really no cost, and it's recurable, and it lets you play through hand traps. It's also like a Call by the Grave in the sense where, like, if your normal summon gets Ghost Ogred or Cypher Gear Gamut, you can flip a wheel to play through it. The 1 Sanctuary, I already talked about Imperm, and I played 2 of each Salamangreat trap because I respect these back rows. These are really, really good cards. In fact, they're kind of what the deck, like, it falls back on. This is like, it doesn't get any better for this deck. For Salamangreats, their best setup turn 1 is going to be a couple hand traps, the Salamangreat traps, and an Abyss Dweller. That's like the strongest board you can put up. Like, honestly, if you're playing around evenly matched, you know, just stick that Link Karibo up there. You know, relink, summon that Jaguar, use the Sunlight Wolf to add your Salamangreat Gazelle, and instead of playing around Kaijus, which you'll see probably less often, play around evenly by linking Jack instead into another Bell, link him into Link Karibo. Now you don't have to waste your Roar on evenly. I'm just giving you guys some insight. And then, of course, the Gravedigger's Trap Hole for the Rafflesia. So for extra deck, we play Dweller and Rafflesia. This is for the utility of being able to play through hand traps, and this is just the best rank 4 in the game. Like I said, your best setup is going to be like Sunlight Wolf, Dweller, Rage, Roar, and some hand traps. Ideally, you probably want to have like Ash and like Imperm or Nibiru. Gamma sucks when you have monsters. Access Code is so good in this deck, and it's a Cyberse deck, so you know he's where he belongs. Heat Lu's like really, really good. Like when this card is good, it's crazy. Like this card's kind of broken against like back row decks, especially Eldritch, because you can chain your trap. Like that's fine. Chain Conquistador. I banished Banelink to protect. That's fine. Chain Wakero. Okay, that's all good. It's still getting shuffled though. It's still gonna get shuffled. Transcode's really good too. Also, just like to have more protection, sometimes you can just transcode like for Sunlight Wolf, which is really cool too. You can get big punches and have protection as well. Update Jammer is just crazy. The fact that like you can just link Update Jammer into transcode. Like let's say you're just like, dang, I don't have enough extenders, and you just have like update plus like one other monster, and you've burned everything else you have. You've used what you have. You just go into transcode, and keep in mind, Update Jammer, its effect, if it's sent to the graveyard as link material, is not once per turn. So you'll be able to make Transcode Talker able to attack twice. And you know, if you just want to go straight into access code after that, you can do that too, and he'll be able to attack twice. And you'll be going for game. You'll be popping your opponent's entire board and attacking for legitimately like I want to say 8600 damage if I'm not mistaken, which is amazing. And then triple Sunlight Wolf, 1 Splash Mage. This card is like so good. 3 Balinks. This card I feel like is underestimated. I feel like if you have a flex spot, definitely play Link Karibo because it negates and banishes. So this is really good against Eldritch because it negates the trap and banishes it. It's really good against Evenly Match because it's a negation that you don't have to waste your Roar on now. And just the fact that like just playing against Eldritch, being able to negate and banish their traps puts them so far behind. So I feel like if you're not playing this, you are sleeping on it because it's really good. And any standard Salamangreat board can put this up just for an added layer of protection. It's really, really nice. And it also protects your access code talker from infinite impermanence. So it's another way to make sure that your OTK gets just sticks, because they can't just imperm on the resolution of his effect if they want to. You guys are probably gonna wonder why I side deck Doggerons. So the thing with Doggeron is not only does he out the Buster Locks, because this deck does need his extra deck, and sometimes you just don't draw the right hand traps to stop that. It's a fire attribute, so that you can actually add it back to your hand with Sunlight Wolf. So it's a recurable kaiju, and I actually, me personally, I like that. I don't know if other Salamangreat players are on this, because I really don't know, but Doggeron is honestly one of those cards that I feel is definitely, if you're not playing it, you're sleeping on it, similar to like Link Karibo. Like, not saying people are literally not playing these, but you should be playing these cards because they have dual purpose and multi-utility in this deck. They do more than one thing. It's not just a kaiju, it's a fire monster that can make Sunlight Wolf, and respectively Sunlight Wolf can add it back. So it's a really good card to side deck, and you not having access to your extra deck's a problem, so go ahead and kaiju that Savage, get rid of that Negate and that extra deck lock, and play Yu-Gi-Oh! Lightning Storm, Dark Ruler, and Evenly for equalizers, and then 3 Gozins, because this is like, woo! For this deck, I think maybe Summon Limit, but if you don't have access to Foxy right away, Summon Limit can bite you in your butt. So Gozin's kind of safer, but I would say Summon Limit's better all across the board because some decks don't lose to Gozin match, but normally Summon Limit's going to be better against like any deck. Literally like any deck, it might just be better than, you know, Gozin, because Gozin does stop you from going to access code. So you still need Foxy to get game early, or otherwise you have to like play the long game. And even though this deck can, because it does have recurability and it can grind and it adds so much to hand from grave all the time, it's just the fact that you don't want the game to last longer than it should last, if that makes sense. So Summon Limit could be in the place of Gozin, but just the fact that you can still play more aggressively under Gozin is a lot better. Like honestly, that's really what it is. I forgot to mention one thing with Heat Leo, is that Heat Leo is able to beat over like Nibiru tokens, which is really cool because you actually can target like your Ash Blossom and their Nibiru token and beat over it. Heat Leo also just it really does, like if you read it, it just literally targets a face-up monster on the field and one monster in your grave and gets the attack of the other one. So Heat Leo also can make one of your monsters beat sticks. That's why, again, like Nibiru and also Doggeron can be really strong, because like if you read Heat Leo, he actually can target any monster. So you can make even your own Gazelle a 3000 attack monster if you just want to target Doggeron, or even your Nibiru engrave. So Heat Leo can be used both aggressively and like also like defensively against Eldritch to get rid of their traps so that they can't outgrind you, and aggressively because he can beat over problem cards, or he can just make one of your monsters a beater. So he is another way to go for game even when you have Gozin match up, when you can't change your attribute. So just giving you guys insight. I'm not saying you didn't know already before. You don't have to be like, you know, that person, but if you already knew, kudos to you. If you didn't know, it's always nice to learn new things. That's my Salamangreat deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Jesus, thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth just as it is in heaven. Please give us this day our daily bread, Lord, and please forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, Father, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, and the power forever. In the mighty name of Jesus I pray. Thank you, Father. Amen. Alright, let me know what you guys think. I know it's 42 if you're really stiff on 40 card decks. You figure it out. You can make a 40 card list. But peace out, you guys.